Okay, interesting. So what was that journey like for you of him introducing Islam to you? Like, how does he introduce it to you, and how was that journey up until your Shahada? What did that look like?
So we would learn about it together. Like, he would read the Quran and he would just tell me about it, and we would listen to tafsir videos together, like explanations of it, and it was pretty interesting. And I listened to the Quran in English because I wanted to know more about my husband's religion, but I didn't really get much out of it at that first listen, because I was just listening to it just to get the gist of it, pretty much, and to say that I did it. And then I became more and more curious about Muslim culture, and I would go on TikTok and I would see these videos of hijabis dressed super fashionably and so confident in their faith. And that really impacted me, because growing up Mormon, like I said, I was always trying to push the boundaries, and modesty seemed outdated and frumpy, like for older women. I didn't get it. But then seeing how Muslim women dress, I thought, wow, this is so interesting. And so I tried hijab in preparation to sign our wedding contract in an imam's house. So I ordered one with a pretty long, flowy, modest dress, and I felt so wholesome and purified wearing it. I felt like an angel, and I got emotional, and I didn't want to take it off the rest of the day. And so that's when I really fell in love with hijab, and I even started going out wearing it sometimes, not religiously, but just because I loved the feeling. And it was like a guard for me, a way to keep my thoughts pure and make sure that I'm living a wholesome life. And I also fasted for Ramadan with him, which was challenging, but it was a great experience. And then summer of 2022, we visited Kuwait for the first time, and I got to meet all his family. We had our dream wedding, and my expectations were blown away. Like, his family just embraced me with open arms, and I experienced such generosity and hospitality, and it really impacted me because I got to see how Muslims really live and what living in a Muslim country is like. You know, in the US and, you know, in the West, there's a lot of stereotypes perpetrated by the Western media. And so it was really cool to actually be here and experience it and realize that a lot of the things that I had seen or heard about Islam and Muslims growing up were false.
Yeah.
So then after visiting Kuwait, we moved back to the US so that my husband could do his master's degree. And he was more interested in religion at that point, like more interested in Islam, reading more Quran after spending the summer in Kuwait. And I also wanted to get this area of my life figured out too. I wanted to connect more with God, because I still considered myself to be like loosely Christian, just kind of like a do good, be good, you'll be fine. But yeah, so I was reading the Bible and listening to a lot of Christian worship music. He was reading the Quran, and we would have long discussions about things, about the similarities and differences between Christianity and Islam. And it was pretty interesting. And then bit by bit, I realized that I couldn't explain my beliefs, like about Jesus and God. And the more that we talked about it, I realized that it didn't really make sense to me. It was just what I had been taught. And then slowly, as I started to go deep into the Quran and learn more about the context behind things and watching those tafsir videos, the concept of one singular, all-powerful creator of all things that started to make sense to me, whereas Christianity didn't, and I wasn't connecting with the Bible, and I would find contradicting passages and stories that were super confusing. I just didn't resonate with it like I did with the Quran. And I would listen to a lot of Quran, and it would bring me great peace and calm. So yeah.
SubhanAllah. I always do feel like if you're presented with Christianity and Islam, and if you're someone that has zero experience of both, Islam will always make way more sense than Christianity.
Yeah.
Yeah, like logically, yeah. Mashallah. What an amazing journey. I love the fact that you had the whole hijab experience, because I had that as well as a non-Muslim, putting on hijab for the first time and just kind of like not wanting to take it off.
Yeah.
And sort of experiencing a different version of myself that I hadn't experienced before whilst wearing it. I had all that, and I love it when people have experiences of meeting Muslims with amazing character, and that makes them interested in the religion because of that character. So like your husband's family and your husband and everything, mashallah. So that's so beautiful. So where did you take your shahada, and what was that experience like?
It was a wonderful day. It was in Utah, where we were living at the time, at a mosque nearby our house. And Jamal and I went, and yeah, it was a small, modest mosque, and he walked in at first to like touch base with the imam, and then I came in a few minutes later, and the imam had me introduce myself, and he asked me what religion I was, and if I had read Quran or not, and what stood out to me about it, and then I repeated the Shahada after him, and then he explained to me that all of my previous sins were forgiven, and that I was, in a sense, starting over, and my slate was clean. And so that was a wonderful, wonderful feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
SubhanAllah. So how did you approach telling your family, and how did your family react to that?
So the day that I took my Shahada, before I did, I called my dad and told him that I was going to, and he was surprised, and he was also like very supportive. He was like excited for me, like, oh, how are we gonna celebrate? We should have a party tonight. Like, I wish that I could be there. So I love that his response was so positive like that. And then I also called my mom. She was surprised, but yeah, she's been very nice. And then my sister Lizzie, who I told after I took my Shahada, she told me that she was also surprised, but she thought that it was cool. And subhanAllah, she has also become Muslim now.
SubhanAllah, wow, that's amazing, mashallah. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's going down on your deeds right there. SubhanAllah. Okay, so you had a positive reaction. Did you have any kind of negativity? Like, I know when I became Muslim, I got sort of like random messages on Facebook from people that I didn't really know very well, saying like, have you been abducted by ISIS and things like this? Like, did you get anything like weird going on?
So I was off social media at that time, but at my work, I would get lots of weird comments and stares, and people wouldn't want to talk to me. And so that was pretty demoralizing and confusing, because I knew that it was because I was wearing hijab, and because they were totally put off by it. And yeah, so that was confusing. But other than that, like, I was pretty confident, and I was doing my thing. I was confident in my new faith.
SubhanAllah. Now, as a Muslim, looking back on your life before, do you feel like there are some teachings in Islam that have really sort of changed your perspective on the world from that person that you were before?
Well, I love the concept of modesty in Islam, and how it's not just one-sided. Like, it talks about men like lowering your gaze, guarding your chastity, and then women, you know, how we dress and our character and our decorum. And so that's one of my favorite things about Islam. and being Muslim. And yeah, I've really transformed in that regard.
Inshallah. What would you say to the people that say the way you dress is oppression?
It's not. Like, I've unshackled myself from society's beauty standards, and wearing hijab is freeing. It's freeing.
MashaAllah. I love that. That was an amazing answer, MashaAllah. So let's just touch on Kuwait quickly. So what's it like living in Kuwait? What was that move like? And what was moving to Kuwait like? Let's start there.
It's awesome. I'm totally loving it here. And yeah, it's fun because a lot of things are new and I get to explore. And before I met Jamal, I was feeling pretty like cooped up living in Utah, and I really wanted to get out and, you know, explore and learn a new language. And so now it's like, I'm doing it, you know, I'm in a whole new country, and, you know, I'm learning a lot, learning some Arabic and making new friends. And yeah, I'm absolutely loving it.
How do people in Kuwait react to you when they see you?
Like just people in general, or like Jamal's family?
Just people in general. Like, do they notice that you're a revert? People think I'm Syrian sometimes, but do they notice you're a revert? Or are they excited about the fact that you're a revert? Like, do you get approached by strangers and things like that?
Yeah, I think they can tell that I'm obviously not from here and that I'm probably a revert. And I do get people approach me now who know me from social media. So, yeah.
Yeah, and they're like always very like friendly and welcoming.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I love that
the
side.
vibe here. It's so wholesome.
I love that side.
My parents commented on that too when they visited. Said, yeah, it's very peaceful, very wholesome. And my parents' family had a great experience visiting here too.
MashaAllah. That's amazing. I haven't been to Kuwait, but I've heard great things. Before Islam, did you try out any other religions, or was it just Islam?
Yes. So in the process of trying to find the truth, I was trying out different churches in the Salt Lake City area with my sister Lizzie, and we tried out a Pentecostal one. We weren't really vibing with that one. We tried out a liberal Christian one, which was fun. Like, they had like popcorn, coffee, watched these movies. Like, it was a very stark difference from growing up Mormon. So it was fun, but like it was kind of a joke. And then, yeah, I remember sitting on my bed one Sunday morning thinking, should I go to church? Like, I don't know if I believe in this. Like, I don't know what I believe and what I should do. And I didn't end up going, and then I ended up like learning more about Islam, and yeah.
MashaAllah. Amazing, yeah. I mean, I was very similar in the sense that I didn't really go into Christianity because I never really connected with it, but I looked into like Hinduism and Buddhism and these kind of like Hare Krishna things. I tried all those. But yeah, it was fun. I liked stroking the cows, but that was it. Alhamdulillah. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on and doing this. It's even for me as a revert